Let's get right into it. So, we're going to start off today just by going with the proof. Right? Start with proof. So, Naftali Bennett. Naftali Bennett. Oh, Jesus. It's just normal. That's just normal shit. Yeah. Just normal. Lots of paintings that look like this. Oh, look, there's a plane way up in the stratosphere. Not leaving any lines, I guess, but you know, they're just exact same space apart, and they look like they're coming apart. That's just normal. That's just normal bits. So Naftali Bennett, he is an Israeli businessman, a politician, Israeli politician, who in 2021, 2022, I believe, was put into the position of prime minister. And during the 3-year span between 2019 and 2022, Israel had essentially 6 different prime ministers. I kept saying it's 5, but it's 6. It starts with Netanyahu, goes to Benny Gantz, and it's Netanyahu again. Then it's this guy, Naftali Bennett, who the only thing he disagreed with Netanyahu on is look at that long flat one. That's just normal, right? That's just normal. Was that Netanyahu believes that whenever Israelis turn 18, they should be required to do military service. And Naftali Bennett believed that's what Americans are for. That's what us Goyim are for, is to fight their battles. So when they turn 18, they should be able to go on their pilgrimages, their government-sponsored trips around the world. You know, standard bullshit for them. And he won based on that. Because that's what the people believe more than anything, is that they shouldn't have to fight their own fights, and that's what we're for. We're for fighting their fight. But here you have a video from 2010 where Naftali Bennett admits that they control Wikipedia. Now, this is important because this is going to lead into the rest of the video, but it's important that you see this part. And actually, let's look at this one because it's louder.
Moetzet Yesh, in conjunction with My Israel, instruction day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to edit in Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world. As a way of example, if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature. I came here to...
Okay. Oh, look at this. I never even saw this.
If you Google Nusayrat refugee camp massacre, a variety of results will appear on your screen. But if you look closely at the right-hand side of your screen, Wikipedia is calling it a rescue operation. You might be wondering why a recent Israeli military attack that killed over 200 Palestinians in central Gaza's Nusayrat refugee camp is being described as a rescue operation. The answer lies in Wikipedia's status as the world's most read encyclopedia, one that's created and edited by global volunteers. And when it comes to Palestine, things are always complicated. An editing war regarding the portrayal of the Nusayrat refugee camp massacre is underway among Wikipedia volunteers. On one side are pro-Israeli editors pushing out the Nusayrat rescue operation narrative with an aim to exonerate Israelis of the massacre, champion the Israeli army, and minimize Palestinian casualties. On the other side are the editors calling for the recognition of the event massacre. While one editor argued that the casualty count was the cause of the rescue operation, another editor responds by denying that a massacre even occurred. Controlling the pro-Palestine narrative on Wikipedia is not new, especially when it comes to Israel's practice of settler colonialism and its decades-long occupation involving the brutal and systematic oppression of Palestinians. The platform's global readership influences opinions worldwide on Israel's ongoing military offensive in Palestine's Gaza, which has already killed more than 37,000 people. Most of the talking points among moderators echo those of Hasbara, Israel's state-funded program devoted to shaping narratives, suppressing all negative commentary and whitewashing its image. Take, for example, the term Israeli occupation, which is often changed to Israeli rule. Israel's Zionist groups have been conducting workshops and campaigns on Wikipedia for decades to rewrite Palestinian history. Influencing Wikipedia is a big deal for Israel's public diplomacy. In 2010, a course on Zionist editing for Wikipedia was launched by two Israeli groups. One of these groups was the Yesha Council, a Zionist settler group led by Israel's former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett.
We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
In 2008, a leaked email showed how Camera, a pro-Israeli group focused on the media, sought out a secret army of Wikipedia volunteers who could work as editors to influence the Israel-Palestine narrative, sneer Palestinians, and impose Israel's agenda without being detected. Soon after, Wikipedia administrators imposed a lifetime ban on at least 5 moderators. In 2020, another pro-Israeli advocacy group called the Israel Group launched Wiki Israel, an initiative that doxes anti-Israel editors and takes steps to overcome what it claims is Wikipedia's bias. Amid rising disputes and online narrative wars, Wikipedia has devised a strategy to deal with contentious topics. In the case of the Israel-Palestine conflict, the arbitration Palestine-Israel article was developed in 2008 to create a code of conduct for volunteers. According to the rules, only users who've been registered with the site for at least 30 days and with a history of over 500 edits can work on a Wikipedia page related to the Israel-Palestine conflict. An editor can revert an edit only once a day across all pages related to the conflict. Anyone found violating the rule is blocked from the site. Despite this, some editors continue promoting a skewed narrative of Israel's devastating assaults on Gaza. Wikipedia's description of the Nusayrat refugee camp massacre is just one example of the website's bias and demonstrates how alternative and sometimes wholly inaccurate Zionist narratives obscure and manipulate actual facts.
So we have some dumbass talking about bringing up the Bible and saying Palestine never existed. Never mind the 2,000 years worth of maps that exist in between when the Bible is said to have taken place and now that show Palestine exists. But see, this is a dumbass who watches Charlie Kirk and thought that this was a good argument. Palestine doesn't exist. Palestine doesn't exist. It clearly has existed for decades, centuries, at least according to the narrative we're given. But even more importantly, it doesn't matter if you call it Palestine, if you call it Judea, or if you call it Kaku land. It doesn't really matter. The fact is, this one group of people is genociding another group of people, starving to death a bunch of people, killing children. 300-some thousand plus children have been killed so far. 300,000 plus people, most of them children. So it's just, and then to think like the Bible has any sort of merit. The Bible is just a dumb Jewish fairy tale. It's not even a Christian book. It's literally all the characters are Jewish. All the stories are Jewish. They talk about the Gentiles as a separate group multiple times. They mention those Gentiles, not us Gentiles, those Gentiles. But anyway, that's not where we're going today. It's too easy. The Bible is just too easy to destroy. So I showed you the video where the whole video, and then that clip. I never saw that second video before, but where they flat out admit that in 2010 to have a balanced and Zionist perspective, right? What are your thoughts on the Iran-Israel war? Are they cooperating behind the scenes? Not really sure. I mean, Iran didn't do anything until Iran was attacked. And I mean, you know, where are all of the Muslim countries to defend the Palestinians? Where are the Saudi Arabians who refused to sign the Abraham Accords because of what was being done to the Palestinians, at least according to the narrative? Israel is declared by God. What? Where? What stupid shit are you talking about? And if they wrote the book, then of course it's going to put them in the best light. But see, this is a great example of there is no like legitimate argument to be made. So people just bring up this fantasy bullshit, right? Let's see what Genesis 15:18 actually says. I'll humor you. Genesis 15:18. All right, let's see. Well, we got to go KJV, of course. We don't want any of that newfangled bullshit. All right, let's see. In the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, "Unto thee, thy seed, I have given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates." Well, that doesn't say anything. I mean, it's very suggestive, but it doesn't say anything. It doesn't mention Israel. And so, Abram, after making his penis cutting covenant with God, that's what it's about, the penis cutting, where God promises to never destroy the earth again as long as they cut and suck all of their group's penises at a young age. You gotta wait 8 days. On the 8th day. You gotta wait 7 days, but on the 8th day. That God will never destroy the earth again, and he's gonna prove it by showing rainbows. But Abram is Abraham. Abraham, you know, after they make the covenant, and Abraham, you know, circumcises himself, and then all of his slaves. So when Gentiles are circumcised, that marks us as slaves. That's what that whole thing means. So today, when you're circumcising your children, you're marking them as slaves. But God, who is the Almighty, is He who is the Almighty, is thy thee, whatever he decides to call himself at this introduction. Look at that shit. Jesus Christ. God changes Abram's name to Abraham, and his wife's name from Sarai to Sarah. And that's, you know, that's his, but see, that's the point, is like, the Bible is a Jewish narrative. Abram is a Jewish guy. And this whole idea that like especially when you know how much they lie, right? To think that, okay, so some guy builds this God phone, this altar that allows him to have conversations with God. He's all by himself. He has this conversation with God where he thinks, I'm gonna cut my penis now. And I gotta cut all your penises too. We'll save it in a little bag. We'll collect all the foreskins in a bag. that he had this conversation with God, and God told him, hey, this is for you, and this is, and then he went and told like a whole bunch of, hey, I had this conversation with God, and God said that this is all mine. Like, nobody else heard this. This is just supposedly Abraham's narrative. Can you imagine if somebody did that today? If somebody was like, yeah, I built an altar and God came and had a conversation with me, and he actually told me that that all of the stuff about Israel is wrong, and that it's actually the Palestinians. That's what he said. You think anybody would believe him? Trump wears drag and makeup. Trump is a gay man. I've said that for a long time. But I wear dresses too, yep. Yes, and Jacob changed it to Israel. Oh, right. So to think that there are these one guys throughout history that claim to have conversations with God, there's no proof. No one else saw it, no one else heard it, but it must be true because these people who lie all the time, they say it. And it benefits them. It's not like it's a lie that puts them in a bad spot. It's a lie that benefits them solely. Everything I could see from here to there, that's mine now. God said so. Like, it's pretty fucking stupid, right? Trump is, look at him. Look at his mannerisms and shit. How come nobody talks about the fact that Trump is a meth head, a gay meth head? Every time he talks, he does this all the time. That's fucking weird. Imagine if I did that all the time. People would have a field day with that shit. But when he goes off script and he just starts talking and his little hands start swaying back and forth, he's clearly a gay dude. And a pedo. I mean, you gotta love that Epstein association. But let's go back. So I showed you guys the Naftali Bennett video where this guy is the future prime minister at that point. It's 2010 when he makes this interview, but this guy was the prime minister in 2022, and he says that they control they control Wikipedia, the number one source of information in the world, and they were teaching editors how to edit things so that it would have a Zionist perspective, right? So that means if I use Wikipedia as my source, not only is it the number one source of information, it's their number one source of information. Everything you read on Wikipedia is approved by them. So now, because we're going to talk about AIPAC in a minute, just wait. First, we need to talk about Team Jorge, right? We're going to go to Wikipedia, Team Jorge, Jorge, Team Jorge. I keep waiting for this page to get locked up like all the other pages get locked up so they can't be edited by us Goyim. Is there proof Abraham prophet communicated with God? It is the Quran. If you don't like it, on a day of judgment, you will cry and shiver. Yeah, okay. Okay. The Quran is just a bunch of bullshit too. The Bible, the Quran, the three Abrahamic religions, meaning they all come from Abraham, who is the father of the J people, right? Like there's no, you guys say it, not me. Like those who kind of know, because you guys don't even really know your shit. You just sort of pretend you do. Wikipedia has never been a good source because anyone can essentially change it. No, they can't. No, they can't. If you make an edit, if you're allowed to make an edit, because a lot of the pages, again, are locked up. You can't edit them. The AIPAC page is edited, or is locked up, so it can't be edited. But if you make an edit, it then triggers the system to send the edit to the real people, the real editors, who then check to see if your edit fits the narrative. If your edit doesn't fit the narrative, they don't let it through. A great example of it is all the people that have tried to edit this Team Jorge page to talk shit about me, right? And then it doesn't show up. It only lasts for a minute. Ishmael is the child that was cast away. I mean, the thing is, you people believe this bullshit for no reason. Literally no reason. You don't even understand the history of your Bible. You don't understand the whole 1611 commission of the Bible by King James, and you don't understand all that shit. So you just say dumb shit, right? This is the best you can do because you don't actually know anything. Just like you think anyone can edit Wikipedia. Anyone cannot edit Wikipedia. And I just literally, like, this is that part where Bible thumpers who don't require proof to believe what they believe don't like proof that goes against their narrative, right? You don't require proof for you to believe shit. But if somebody provides you proof to the contrary, you cry and act like that's not valid. Literally, I just showed you that Naftali Bennett, here, we'll do it one more time, just for gits and shiggles. Just one more time.
Moetzet Yesha, in conjunction with My Israel, has arranged Instruction Day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to edit in Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world. As a way of example, if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
I came here to learn.
Okay, so there you go. So wait, so this dumbass, like, this is why I don't even bother talking to these people anymore, because they just say stupid shit. So I'm gonna pull up the AIPAC page. Now, imagine thinking anyone can't just edit Wikipedia. Well, there you go. See the lock button on the AIPAC page? That means no one can edit it. Right? Look, no one can, you can't even pull up the edit feature. This page is protected to prevent vandalism. So there's plenty of Wikipedia pages that can't be edited. And then again, imagine thinking the #1 source of information in the world is just allowed to be edited by anyone. And it just stays that way. Again, they have human editors at like the headquarters or whatever. Yeah, you might be able to make an edit to a page, but it won't last. But anyway, let's move on. Oh, wait, look, we have somebody flying the pedo flag. If you fly the pedo flag, you are immediately blocked. So it's a nice way for you to get out of the conversation. Okay, so Team Jorge is the name given to an outfit of Israeli contractors specialized in the use of malign cyber activities, including hacking, sabotage, and bot farm-run social media disinformation campaigns to manipulate the outcomes of elections. If they can manipulate the outcome of election, they can probably manipulate or interfere with some random doofus's YouTube page, right? They're probably, it's probably likely that they could send that same bot farm system at somebody's page like mine and then just say a bunch of stupid shit, doing everything they can to avoid the actual topic of the conversation. Interesting how it works, but the group was exposed in February 2023, after an award-winning undercover operation by journalists from Israel, and France as part of a consortium of investigative journalists coordinated by Forbidden Stories. It's actually a bunch of different journalists, the US and a bunch of different places, actually. The organization has been active since at least 2015 and boasts of having manipulated 33, gotta love that 33, presidential elections worldwide. But don't worry, many, meaning 4 or more, many of them in Africa, and in 27 cases with successful results. Their activities were revealed following a 2022 sting operation in Tel Aviv carried out by 3 undercover journalists who posed as prospective clients and filmed their interactions with Tal, T-A-L, Hanan, Hanan, the group's leader and former Israeli Special Forces operative, in which he explained the inner workings of the organization. Hanan said Team Jorge has existed for more than 2 decades and has been engaged in propaganda and disinformation activities in more than 30 countries. However, its first documented activity dates back to 2015. You know, the whole Trump not winning the election but being put in anyway, and then they blame Russia for interfering with the election but then don't show you anything. Oh look, one of those right angles in clouds. Gotta love how there's the right angles, right? Just a perfect 90-degree right angle in the clouds. Makes total sense. But isn't it strange how the first documented activity is just before the election, where they admit Russia interfered? They won't show you how, they won't tell you how, they won't give you any examples or evidence. And you're supposed to give a shit. But when it comes to Israel having interfered with the election, well, don't talk about that. That's a crazy conspiracy theory. Their services have been available to government intelligence agencies, political campaigns, and private companies that wish to covertly manipulate the public. Sounds like I'm just making this up, doesn't it? One of the organization's primary tools is a software package called Advanced Impact Media Solutions, or AIMS. Now, pay attention. The software automates centralized control of thousands of fake social media profiles on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Telegram, TikTok, and others like YouTube. What do you call that? Like, this is essentially Israel admitting that this is just one. Remember, this is just one Israeli black ops organization that was exposed. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of other black ops organizations that nobody knows about that do the same thing. That use the AIMS software, the Advanced Impact Media software, to automate centralized control of thousands of fake social media profiles. And then they send them here. And they just say the dumbest shit you can think of. Right? Look at how it works. Look at how dumb they are. They can't actually address anything being said, and they're really trying to avoid it. They really don't want, they want you guys to think I'm crazy because I'm reading you what it says. Somehow I'm making this up, right? Somehow I edited Wikipedia to say all this shit, right? So that's the automated version. Believe me, we're about to get to AIPAC, but I want to read you one more thing. One more thing called ACT-IL, right? ACT.IL. ACT-IL was a social networking service used by supporters of Israel to oppose online anti-Israel content such as the BDS movement, boycott, divestments, and sanctions. Its activities were referred to as an online propaganda campaign and a virtual situation room for pro-Israel experts. ACT-IL directed its users to missions to like, comment, and share pro-Israel material on social media. Pay attention. It also asked users to flag, report, and respond to criticisms of Israel. Users were guided on how to respond, which might entail writing a reply using the provided talking points, which is probably why they all say the same dumb shit. That's what they told them to say. Or sharing upvoted allied content. The app also provided users with ready-made memes for promoting Israel's perspective for them to share. Now here we go, pay attention. By completing missions, users earned points, unlocked badges, and had their scores displayed on leaderboards. Now when we get into the AIPAC narrative, remember that. Points, badges, prizes for doing the dirty work, for finding pages like mine and trying your damnedest to disrupt them. According to Plus 972, that's a big Israeli website, online magazine, ACT-IL was the centerpiece of a digital campaign called 4IL, or For Israel, announced in 2017 by Gilad Erdan, then the Minister of Strategic Affairs, for the promotion of Israel and the delegitimization of boycott, divestments, and sanctions, BDS. The act would assign users missions to challenge social media posts it considered to be critical of Israel or in favor of the BDS movement. Erdan called it the Iron Dome of Truth. ACT-IO was a joint project of private Israeli university, who gives a shit, and the US-based Israeli-American Council, which is a really powerful lobby in this country, the Maccabee Task Force, one of Sheldon Adelson's, Sheldon Adelson is just an awful, awful, horrible human being. He's dead, but now his wife is continuing the work, is a major funder of ACT-IO. The organization behind ACT-IO is staffed by former intelligence officers and has a collegial relationship with the Israeli intelligence community. It has a close relationship with Israel's Minister of Strategic Affairs, which combats the BDS movement, which it views as a threat. According to Mondo Weiss, an email sent in March 2022 to the app's users announced that the app would be shut down, but the users should continue to interact with ACT-IO's content on its other social media platforms, meaning they got rid of the direct paper trail and now they just use social media. So, now that we've established what's going on here, now that I've shown you that Israel brags about controlling Wikipedia, then I used Wikipedia, so it's their information to show you that they use bots, they use, they have just one Black Ops organization was exposed as having 30,000 bots at their command to be able to just attack someone like me or to bolster someone, a Charlie Kirk. If they want a Charlie Kirk video to get a bunch of views and go to as many people as possible, they then send their 30,000. Well, this one group sends their 30,000. Again, however many hundreds of groups there are that have 30,000 bots at their command, how come certain videos get such huge numbers within, hours of being put out? It's all like right here. It's not like when people talk about conspiracy theories and shit like that. Well, I guess you could call things conspiracy theories, but this is what they want us to know. I don't think Wikipedia is 100% true, but I know that Wikipedia is what they want us to know. It's been documented many, many, many times. So now we're going to start at AIPAC. And remember, I did a pretty crazy in-depth video in AIPAC 2 days ago that you're more than welcome to go check out. And if you think I'm wrong about any of it, please say so. But, and pay attention to the comments again. Look at how they just look at these dumb, they don't say anything against what I'm saying. Right? It's just dumb bullshit. He doesn't even believe the Holocaust was factual. No, it wasn't. It's been the fact is, in the United States, they still push the 6 million narrative. And over at Auschwitz, they've lowered it by a significant amount. Here, wait. Let's show one more thing. And I want to hear how you're going to say this is me. Because this guy is about as chosen as it gets. We'll just show the clip. There's the full episode is amazing, but let's just show the clip of it. Where did they take it down? All right, we'll do it this way. All you have to do is put in David Cole, C-O-L-E. All right, and then go to the videos. And wow, they've taken this shit down. Let's see. David Cole Montel. Holy shit, they've taken down the short, and now it's just the full episode is available. Here you go. Oh, no, this is on TikTok, so it's not going to pull up. Let's see. I can't believe this is... Okay, here we go. Oh, nope, this is IG, so it probably won't show up either, right? The only way I can see these things is if I go to IG, huh? Or I go to one of these networks, these social media sites. Wow, I can't believe this is... Let's see... Video... Under 4 minutes, let's see. Let's see if that works. They took it down. Holy shit, they took it down. This is taken down in the last, like, 2 weeks or something like that. Like, this isn't... Wow, this is nuts. So, the full episode still exists, right? So here's the full episode of it. And I suggest you go watch it, but...
No matter how many times we see
the fake footage.
Many of our nation's veterans live with PTSD.
These pictures were taken at the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp at the end of the war by the British when they liberated the camp. The people shown these pictures, and it's a very, very terrible pictures. Nobody denies that. Nobody says it didn't happen.
Oh, I do.
Nobody says it's not true.
I do, because you know what's interesting is, go look at any liberation video you can find, right? And if you look at the liberation videos, the one thing you'll never see, holy shit, that's brand new. The one thing you'll never see, that's just normal, right? That's just normal stuff. That's just what normal airplanes do. Right? We should have one coming from right around here soon. Oh, what the fuck was I saying? I get distracted by that shit because it's so jarring to see it right out in the open like that. It's fucking crazy, right? Oh, what the fuck was I saying?
People were victims of starvation.
Oh, yeah, you go look at these videos, and what you'll never see is someone smiling. They forgot to get the actors to smile when they were being liberated from the horrors of the camps that had their own soccer teams and theater groups, and the barracks were all heated and had electricity and running water and all that, because that's what you do, right? You're planning on killing people, so you build them a barracks that has water and heat and electricity, and you allow them to have their own soccer teams and play each other. You know, you allow them to have theater groups, you allow them to have their own money, right? Have their own stores and shit like that. That's what you do when you're trying to kill a bunch of people. That makes sense, doesn't it? But you know, and most of the death occurred because the Allies bombed the supply lines. Like, it's all really well documented, right? But the thing is, there were only 3 million bad guys there at the time. In Europe. In all of Europe, there were only about 3 million. And most of them escaped here. So where the hell 6 million came from is anyone else's guess. However, there's a movie you can find called 6 Million Lies, where they go into depth. They go in depth on how that 6 million number was being programmed into the people through the media for decades prior to. There are also all sorts of news articles where they talk about 6 million Jays are going to perish. 6 million Jays are being attacked. 6 million Jays will be displaced. You know, they push that number a bunch of times, and still people still have the newspapers and documented evidence that they were pre-programming us through the media back then, just like they do now. But in the liberation videos, you never see anyone smiling, not one person. You could go with your whole Stockholm bullshit, this, that, and the other, which is just nonsense. And really, look at all the supposed hostages from October 7th. By the way, none of them were taken hostage or killed on October 7th. It's just a complete manufactured false flag. No doubt about it, right? But they're smiling and happy and kissing their captors and shaking their hands and hugging them and saluting them. There are lots of videos showing some really strange things happening with the hostages, the hostages who are not skinny, who aren't gaunt at all, who have no marks on their faces or their bodies, who are tan, but they're hostages, all right? Morning. But if you watch the liberation videos, anyone you can find, well, that's weird. I wonder what made it all slide over like that. It wasn't like that before. That's a weird little jaunt. Anyway, none of the people are smiling. None of them are happy to be being liberated. Don't you find that interesting? That you can't find any videos like that? Not the children. Nobody's running. Nobody's like, yes, we're finally free. My people are free. Nothing like that. Not a single video. They all just walk with their sad faces, looking directly at the camera. And when you see the videos, I always encourage people to pay attention to the background. Every time you're shown anything, don't just look at what you're supposed to look at, the foreground. Look at the background. You'll never see anything that matches what they say is happening or say had happened. One thing they love to do when they're talking about, so this is just a time-tested tactic, right? They did this a lot with the South American invasion angle that they tried to run, where when they want you to believe there's a lot more people than there is, the camera angle comes from about right here. So you can only see the top of the heads and then just sort of assume that there's a lot more. When they want you to know how many people really are there, they show this angle. So you can see just how many people are there. And in all of those liberation videos or all the camp footage, it's always this angle. So you think there's a lot more people there than there actually is. And if you look at the backgrounds, there's never anybody in the background suffering, working, doing anything. There's never, the backgrounds are completely empty. But this guy here, I mean, you should go watch this.
They died in the last weeks of the war. They died in the last weeks of the war. The people, these pictures were taken at the Bergen-Belsen.
So let's see.
6 million Jews. Seeing the specials, the news clips, the footage, everyone around the world believes that the Holocaust took place. Why do you think it didn't?
Well, Montel, it's very important to understand that no one says that those pictures are real, as you
I do.
indicated at the beginning of the program. Pictures are very real, they're very horrible, they're very tragic, and we've all seen them. We've all heard that 6 million Jews died in the Second World War during the Holocaust. But it's very important to understand what these pictures show and what they don't show. These pictures were taken at the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp at the end of the war by the British when they liberated the camp. The people shown these pictures, and it's a very, very terrible pictures. Nobody denies that. Nobody says it didn't happen. Nobody says it's not true. These people were victims of starvation and disease. They died in the last weeks of the war. They died in the last weeks of the war as indirect victims of the war. British doctors who were at the camp themselves at the time the camp was liberated, and many inmates who were at the camp there and elsewhere have also confirmed the conditions at Belsen, although certainly not a country club, were relatively good until the final weeks and months of the war. And that was because in the final weeks and months of the war, all of Germany, all of Europe was in complete chaos. All the railroads were ruined. It was impossible to supply food. It was impossible to supply water. And particularly at Bergen-Belsen, thousands and thousands and thousands of Jews were evacuated from camps further to the east as the Soviets were coming in and sent into this and other camps.
The fact that anybody would hide, like, what makes more sense? That my phone that you don't know what I have, but it's maybe 2 years old, maybe a year old. I think we did the jump program a little over a year ago. The new phone that I have on the T-Mobile network, biggest network in the country, attached to the Verizon network, when I'm in the suburbs, the flat suburbs of Michigan, of Detroit, where there's cell phone towers all around me, that for some reason my phone or my feed is my internet service isn't good enough? What makes more sense? Like, how many people in my position do you see that have the same kind of problems? You know, it's one thing if I was out in the country somewhere, or I had mountains all around me, or even huge trees all around me, because the signal doesn't come from up, it comes from across, because satellites and shit are fake. But what makes more sense? That my feed is being fucked with, or that it's my phone and my internet? Anyway, go watch this. I was hoping to see the clip. I guess I'm not shocked that they took it down. But these guys are, especially the other guy, is 100% Jewish. I mean, there's no questioning. He says it, he acknowledges it. It's like, and he breaks it all down. I want to find that one part of the video just because.
I've done 1341, the first of deporting Jews, uprooting them.
We are trying to sugarcoat what happened, but it's camp. And let me just, for the record, state, I don't doubt that it was an incredibly horrible thing that happened to the Jews of Europe, something that should not be thought of in any lighter sense, specifically because we doubt that there were gas chambers. These people were taken out of their villages, split up from their family.
See, they're still pushing the propaganda. Even the controversial side, even the opposition side still pushes the propaganda.
Put into camps.
I just want
The fact still remains, yes,
Here we go.
6 million Jews were killed. And whether or not the documentation shows that it was the intent to completely get rid of Jews, it doesn't matter whether or not the intent was there, because it happened. 6 million Jews were murdered.
Her comment doesn't make any sense. Listen to what he says here.
Both David and Mark, that's a very important issue because both of you dispute the fact that 6 million Jews died.
If I could make a point, now she said the fact that 6 million Jews died. However, in 1988, the site at Auschwitz, where people can go and tour the gas chambers, they lowered their figure from 4 million dead to 1 million dead. So that was 3 million taken out of the equation overnight. Where did these 3 million go? Were they never there in the first place? Were they in the camps, and did they survive? And if you can lose 3 million people overnight, who's to say that 1 million remaining figure is not also wrong?
And let me ask you this question. Weren't some of these figures ascertained after the fact because they went back and did censuses after?
The source of the famous 6 million figure is an affidavit by by somebody who was brought in at the Nuremberg trial in 1945-46. Even Raoul Hilberg, who's considered one of the major figures in the Holocaust, Holocaust historians, professor at the University of Vermont, he concedes himself that the 6 million figure is based upon crude calculations. It is only highly dubious, and he says we must re-examine this whole question of the 6 million. Look, it's very interesting, Montel. People have heard over and over about 6 million Jews dying in Europe during the Second World War. How many people in this audience know how many Germans died during the Second World War? How many Americans died during the Second World War? How many Chinese died during the Second World War? In America, as time goes by, the more time passes, the more there's emphasis on the fate of one particular people during the Second World War, almost to the exclusion of everyone else.
This is a really interesting watch, and I suggest you go watch it from the beginning. But it's like the proof is there. You're just some arrogant ass American who thinks that either because they know it's true, or because they don't know it must not be true. If it was true, they would know about it. Like it's so interesting how, like, Trumpanzees are a great example, right? Trumpanzees will consistently talk about how Biden and every other president is this bought and paid for, does what he's told, blah, 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 this, that, and the other bullshit. They say the right things about every other president, but for some reason think Trump because they like Trump, because they're racist, and they like, they like the racist guy who says the racist, sexist bullshit, homophobic bullshit. They like him, so they go with the fact that he's not a plant. All the other ones are plants, but he's not a plant. Like it's that narrow-minded like foolishness, that arrogance, that if I like the thing, then it's true, but if I don't like it, then it's crazy. And the thing is, so many of you are so arrogant and you're uneducated. You don't know shit about any of this. So, it took me 40, 50 minutes to get here, but we're talking about AIPAC, right? And 2 days ago, I did a really in-depth look into AIPAC. AIPAC, the Wikipedia page is completely blocked up. Nobody's allowed to edit Wikipedia, so for anybody that wants to hide behind that anybody can edit Wikipedia narrative, what does this mean? If this is locked up, then who gets to the final say? Who controls what's said? If we're not allowed to edit it, then who controls it? And do you bother to ask that question, or you just run with your shit because that's what you're doing? Well, no, my family is said to have been Holocaust survivors. I think my family is Project Paperclip. But something happened, just not the thing that you're told happened. The fact is, nobody was talking about it during the time it was happening. Nobody seemed to notice that the World Census Report says prior to the war there were 15, 16 million Jews worldwide. During the war, that number went to 17 million, and after the war, it was 18 million. Nobody accounts for the missing 6 million. It's just not true. It's just not true. It doesn't stand up to scrutiny. Oh, here we go. We have a helicopter flying overhead. I wonder what the helicopter's doing. I wonder who that helicopter's following. It's interesting. That doesn't usually happen around here. But the funny thing is, like, all these commenters on here, they don't know shit. They're just sort of knee-jerk reacting from the bullshit they learned in school. Or, again, it's just bots. Most of it is just bots. But you act like you're some sort of expert, whether it's this stuff or it's submarines, and you haven't looked into any of this shit. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. The last time you actually read something was probably like the ingredients on something. You haven't done any historical reading in forever. And I purposefully use the thing they want us to use and that they admit to controlling for my information. So there is no cowardly way out. Oh, that's just a conspiracy website. And even if you try by saying anybody can edit Wikipedia, well, this page can't be edited. So, AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, is a pro-Israel lobbying group that advocates its policies to the legislative and executive branches of the United States. They control the United States government. It is one of several pro-Israel lobbying organizations in the United States and has been called one of the most influential lobbying groups in the country. Now, there's so much to this, but I want to read you guys a couple of things here. Where is it? You know what? I'll just read it from the picture I took. Oh, I didn't take that on this phone. Damn it. I want to read you this one part where it says, I'm not going to be able to find it. I suggest you go look for yourself or go watch the previous video
AIPAC was founded in 1954 by Isaiah L. Keenan, a lobbyist for the Israeli government, partly to counter negative international reactions to Israel's Kibaya massacre of Palestinian villagers that year, where they in response to supposedly an Israeli woman and her 2 children being killed. No evidence of that exists. No name, no nothing. And what you'll find with most of the things that Israel gives us is that every time they claim to be the victims of something like this, the number of victims is always the amount of people who could have been in a car crash. It's never like a woman and her 2 kids. Well, she could have been driving like an idiot. She could have done one of those things where she was trying to kill herself and her kids. There's all sorts of shit that could have been going on. But it's always the amount of people that could have easily, that could be have killed in some other way, but it's presented as like this. This is how they operate. In early 2023, they claimed that some Hamas or Hezbollah people opened fire on a gas station in Israel, killing 4 people. 2 girls younger than 25, somebody in their late 20s, 30s, and then a man over 50 or something like that. I can't quite remember all the details. But again, that's enough people to be involved in a car crash. Or maybe you got a car crash and then somebody you took off life support. I mean, and this persists all the way here. Go look at the supposed synagogue shootings. The big one that Robert Bowers Jr., this guy who doesn't fucking exist, supposedly carried out. I think it was 13 people. And if you were to just say, okay, well, a couple got in a car accident, two couples happened to get in car accidents where 4 people died. And then you have all in the tri-state area, you say, to hey, all of you people with elderly on life support, can we make them a martyr by taking them off life support and using them in this thing? Of course they're going to say yes. Of course they're going to say yes. But you never hear about any situation where, 20, 30, 40, it never works that way. The only one they give you is October 7th. And with that, they don't even give you a round figure. They don't give you an exact, it's like around 1,200, around 1,100 people in Israel, not Israelis. They don't report it that way. And that's how they report everything. They never call themselves people in Israel. The people in Israel are different than the Israelis. But they always say around 11 or 1,200 people in Israel were killed. They also acknowledged almost immediately that they killed around 1,500 Hamas in Israel that morning, almost immediately in response. So when they say around 1,100, 1,200 people were killed in Israel, they're telling you the truth. They're just letting you fill in the blanks and say, oh, it must have been them. And the only proof that they give you is a list of names. Knowing how they operate, knowing how like their funerals override all legal protocol and everything. To think that to think that they operate sorry, I'm just in a lot of pain here. It's distracting. Just the way that they present things, that they operate above the law. That even with the synagogue shooting, it happened on a Sunday. But half the people were buried on Monday and the other half on the Tuesday. How do you even facilitate that many funerals immediately? One of the craziest examples is the Samantha Wool story. Samantha Wool was a J community leader here in Detroit who on October 21st, 2023, was found stabbed to death in her front yard at around 5:30, 6:30 a.m. on October 21st. Found by a neighbor, stabbed multiple times. What every TV show will tell you is not your typical robbery killing because nothing was stolen. When somebody is stabbed a bunch of times, usually that's a crime of passion, and it's usually done by a loved one, somebody really close to them. And they initially tried to say, well, we don't know. We're not saying this has anything to do with the Israel-Hamas war. We're not saying that, but it could. They did that for like the first couple days, and then it just sort of went away. Well, like, if you want to really blow your mind and read a crazy story, look into this. Samantha Woll, W-O-L-L. They tried to blame a black man. They tried to put everything on him. The judge broke all the rules. You know, it's just the craziest story. But they couldn't actually find him guilty on anything. So they charged him with lying to police, and they gave him an 18-month to 25-year sentence for lying to police. That's the narrative that we're supposed to believe makes sense. But even better, the newspapers on October 22nd, the morning newspapers, so right around or less than 24 hours after the initial murder took place, talk about how beautiful her funeral was. And over 1,000 people attended. This woman was found dead at around 5:30 to 6:30 a.m. How could the morning newspapers the following day talk about how beautiful her funeral was and that over 1,000 people attended? Come on, you're smarter than this, right? Right? Like, you could be as dumbass as you want. Supporting all the Trump pansy bullshit you can. Whatever. Has anybody ever heard of somebody being viciously murdered and having the funeral a few hours later? Bypassing all investigation, you know, bypassing autopsy, bypassing, you know, jumping ahead because I'm sure there were other funerals that day that needed to be taken care of. But how could you possibly arrange it? How do you get over 1,000 people to this is a community leader. So there's probably relatives all over the country, if not, you know, plenty in Israel. How do you get them to a funeral a couple of hours after it happens? No. There must be like that, or there's I mean, maybe there's a political person coming through. Well, let's keep our eyes open. But this is the kind of shit that they do. So their funerals override everything else, right? So logically, if 1,100 to 1,200 of them died in Israel, then there should have been a whole bunch of funerals for the next couple days, right?
There was Channel 7, Channel 4, and Fox 2 all driving through the neighborhood.
I hope they stopped to interview me. I was trying to find a thing where it says that the AIPAC policy conference. The AIPAC policy conference is a bipartisan conference that AIPAC puts on, that they say the only other event, like it's second only to the State of the Union address for the number of governmental delegates and you know, political fucking like congressmen and all that other shit that attended. No other event but the State of the Union address has more government agents at it. How does that make sense to you? In 2016, both Hillary and Trump spoke at the 2016 policy conference. And they were all buddy-buddy. They didn't mention, they weren't like opposing each other at it. They weren't campaigning against each other. They were both pledging their allegiance. I mean, think about how insane that is, right? Like this whole thing, like I'd like to read it again, but I don't want to read it twice. But it's just so fucking informative. It's so insane how obvious it is that they control our government. And most people don't realize it. I think most people do know it. Like if you ask who really controls the narrative, especially elderly people, they always tell you, like if they feel safe, they'll tell you it's the Jays, it's the bad guys. But because we've all been so programmed that we're not even allowed to talk about them, you know, that it shuts down all conversation, right? And people are scared to be labeled anti-Semitic or anti-Semitism. Because they don't understand what those words mean. Semitic refers to all of the people in the region. Palestinians, Syrians, Lebanese, Iranians, Iraqis, even the Egyptians, the North Africans, and all that. They're all considered Semitic. It's the region, the Semitic region. The only people that aren't Semitic are the Israelis. A new study just came out that said 95% of Israelis don't have any Semitic blood in them. So when they call you anti-Semitic for standing up for Palestine, that's like it's such an oxymoron. It's such a stupid thing to say, but you don't know any better. And Semitism is a different word than Semitic. Semitism means policy or predisposition favorable to Jays. Merriam-Webster. You know, I hate to do this, but I have to prove it. So, because people will cry. We got to deal with the crybabies all the time. So we're gonna go Google machine, Semitism, definition. Okay. Merriam-Webster. That's the one we all trust. That's the one we all like, right? Merriam-Webster.com. No funny business. Okay, Merriam-Webster, Semitism.
Semitism.
No funny business.
Semitism.
Number 1A, Semitic character equality is number 1B, a characteristic feature of a Semitic language occurring in another language. Number 2, policy or predisposition favorable to bad guys. Policy or predisposition favorable. You guys see? Go and tell me how I'm wrong. You guys seeing this?
Semitism.
Same page.
Semitism.
So, anti-Semitism simply means you don't believe in supremacy, in their supremacy. You are opposed to their supremacy. Policy, the rules and regulations, and predisposition, the attitude going into things, being favorable to any one group, should not exist. Right? It just shouldn't. It's so fucking crazy that it would ever. Why would that exist? Why would the policy or predisposition be favorable to anyone, let alone them? What did they do to earn such a prestigious position? How are they our ally? What did they do to earn policy and predisposition favorable to them. So these words have been weaponized, right? And I hate to keep junting off topic here, but you know, this is proof. People love to say things without providing proof, and I'm doing nothing but providing you guys with proof of what we're supposed to know. Again, not saying it's true. It's just what we're supposed to know. It's the sources that they give us to give us information. We did we read the criticisms, at least some part. Yeah, I think I stopped on the criticisms. I only got to a certain point because there's just so many of them. I just want to find that one piece though. Why can't I? It should be easy to find you because it's here. This is going to be an interesting read right here. Just hang on a second. All right, we'll read about the Political Action Committee, right? Until 2021, AIPAC did not raise funds for political candidates itself, but its members raised money for candidates through political action committees, PACs, PACs, unaffiliated with AIPAC, and by other means. It's so crazy how they present this. They say, well, AIPAC didn't actually raise funds. The other PACs that AIPAC members are heads of, those raised funds, but that wasn't connected. Those weren't affiliated with AIPAC. The head member of whatever the PAC is an AIPAC member, but that doesn't make it affiliated with AIPAC. In 2021, late 2021, AIPAC formed its own political action committee. It also announced plans for a super PAC, which can spend money on behalf of the candidates. Again, look at the comments here, right? Not a single fucking one of them is addressing what's being said. Who is going to be behind these comments? I say it's Team Jorge. I say it's Act IL bullshit. I say that the stupid people, the inbred dumb fucks that we're talking about are the ones who are behind the comments. And if you don't believe me, I'd love to hear your reasoning or reason why you don't think that way. But to me, the fact that I'm literally talking about some of the most trending political stuff in the world, and these people are saying dumb shit like, let's see, this guy uses logic like a 5-year-old. I had a cookie and went outside, and then the kid had a cookie, and obviously Santa Claus. What? Isn't like what? Where? What does this even mean? Like this guy even this, and it's David Kleinman. So obviously it's one of these dumb inbred fucks to begin with. But look at it. This guy uses logic like a 5-year-old. And now this is a quote. I had a cookie and went outside, and then that kid had a cookie. So obviously Santa Claus is in league with the Jays. Like, what the fuck, man? He literally said that thinking that was like, oh, I'm going to get him. That's the best he could come up with, cookies and Santa Claus and shit. Well, you have it on your shirt, and I can't really think past my nose. So, yeah, you're in Santa Claus and blah, blah. That's the best you can come up with. I'm literally reading you Like the information we're supposed to know, and I'm making all these arguments, and instead of making arguments to the contrary, instead of coming in here and being like, no, we're not these bad people, we're good people, we do the right things, and here, let me give you examples of how good we are, and blah, blah, blah. He's like, no, this guy's like a kid, like a cookie, like a kid with a cookie, and he's like, now I have a cookie, and then this other kid had a cookie, and Santa Claus is in league with the Jays. Because that's what kids talk about, right? Like, this is how desperately stupid they are. And they do nothing but prove it. You know? They do nothing but prove it. Ask them about Matitza Bipa. Ask them why they all support that shit. Look it up for yourself. METZITZIA space B-hyphen-PEH. It's the cutty slicey sucky that they do. You go ahead and you justify why that's okay. It's the most important thing in their cult. It's as important as any other mitzvah, and nothing is more important than it is. It's disgusting. It's fucking disgusting. But this is the best that David Kleinman could come up with. Cookies and Santa Claus and shit. Like the cynical fuck would at least be like, yeah, guys actually, he has people working for him that identify as these stupid ass people and then say stupid things so then he can use it for his advantage. Like you could at least say that. But instead you just say the dumbest fucking shit. And I'm supposed to believe I'm inferior to you. You are chosen by God. Which is, you know, some of the craziest shit. Like Christians, wake the fuck up. I'm trying to save you guys. I am trying to save Christians. Me, Guy, the son of Guy. Mother Mary. Her mother's Margaret Magdalena. Her father's Joseph. My parents born on the same day, the same year, the summer solstice. Essentially 6 astrological signs. Gemini and Cancer, both of them. So they each are 3. 6 signs came together to make Guy, the son of Guy, born on Christmas Day with my woolly hair and my bronzy feet. I'm trying to save you guys. Right? I'm trying to save you from this fucking poison that you believe. You guys believe that you're not even the number one group in your own cult, in your own religion. And I always ask you guys, and nobody ever wants to answer me, right? If you're not chosen by your God, then what are you? If you're not one of the chosen special people, then what are you? Because the Bible talks pretty freely about slaves. Matter of fact, Jesus says slaves should obey their master as they would obey him. Jesus doesn't condemn slavery. And the Talmud says that upon the return of the Messiah, or no, not the return, upon the Messiah's coming out party, once the Messiah shows up, that all of them will have each 2,800 Gentile slaves. Where do you think those 2,800 each come from? And if you said that they make up, what, how many million people? 15, 20 million people in the world? And each one of those people has 2,800 slaves? Does that work out to be close to the world's population? I think it does. I think it does. So if you're not chosen, what are you? Do you ever bother to ask yourself that question? Why you're not your own God's favorite people? The bad guys in the Bible, not Satan. Satan barely appears in the Bible. The bad guys The people that kill your superhero, your God's, your Christian God's only kid, those people are your Christian God's favorite chosen people? Does that make any sense to you? Why would you believe that? And you are second tier to them. If that isn't enough to wake you up to the fact that you've been duped, I don't know what the hell you're supposed to, like, what it's gonna take. It's your own shit. Yeah. A Jew stole my wife. That makes sense. Yeah. I guess if she never wanted to enjoy sex again, that might be the way to go. But yep. Stole her and then brought her back, apparently. Like, this is the dumb shit that they come up with because they can't. Look at this one. You're just mad. Y-O-U-R, just mad. You're just mad because they're better than me. The people that don't even know their own yours. Listen, if you're going to talk shit and do it in the dumbest way possible, at least make sure you spell it right. Because I'm just that petty, right? I'm going to always point out that if you're going to talk shit about how stupid I am and you don't know basic words, that's kind of a contradiction. You don't know which your to use, which there to use, which to use. Like, you're a dumbass. Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. You are a dumbass. I'm trying to educate you. If you're going to talk shit and you're going to say you are something, but you don't want to write out 2 words because that's too much. And your phone is going to tell you the right word to use as well. The phone isn't going to use the wrong word. The phone isn't going to autocorrect to the wrong word. This guy the other day said 5 words. You're a liar. Some kind of I'm a liar. Y-O-U-R-A-L-I-E-R. I am an L-I-E-R. That's how stupid these inbred fucks really are. So anyway, we're talking about AIPAC, right? In a letter explaining the move, Betsy Burns Korn, AIPAC president, said, "The D.C. political environment has been undergoing profound change. Hyper-partisanship, high congressional turnover, and the exponential growth in the cost of campaigns now dominate the landscape." Dove Waxman, director of the UCLA Y&S Nazarian Center for Israel Studies. Wow. I wonder how many other studies they have, how many other, groups or whatever official shit they have for everyone else, for Muslims, for Hindus, for Christians. I mean, I know they do have some Christian studies groups, but how many? The director of the blah, blah, blah said, although for decades AIPAC has had informal ties with pro-Israel PACs, it has always refrained from forming its own PAC. It is a PAC. He added, I think its decision to establish its own PAC and Super PAC is based on the recognition that campaign funding is a crucial means of exerting political influence in Congress, and that AIPAC now needs this tool in order to maintain its influence in Congress. They say that 80% of Congress is controlled by AIPAC. I mean, again, if you read the previous stuff in this, it's, as much as you might think the conspiracy is true, You have no idea not only how true it is, but how brazen and obvious it all is. And it's just shocking. You just look and like, how the fuck does this exist? By the way, if you're watching this, like, share, and sub. Take 2 seconds, click the share button, share it on Facebook. If you need to, because you're scared people are going to be mean to you, then share it with the heading, "This guy's crazy, come tell him so." I would suggest not being scared and just sharing it and inviting people to come tell me what I'm wrong about if they think they can. But this is an education lesson for everyone in America. Like, doesn't matter what side you're on here. You know, let's see, where does it say it? AIPAC describes itself as a bipartisan organization. AIPAC states that it has 5 million members, 17 regional offices, and a vast pool of donors. AIPAC supporters say its bipartisan nature can be seen at its yearly policy conference, which in 2016 included both major parties' nominees, Democrat Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Right? That looks like a spine. That looks like a spine. Like, even has the backbones and shit. That's weird, the vertebrae and shit. I mean, this is, you know, there's really no denying what's going on here. I don't want to read this part again. I'm going to read this. I'm going to jump to this. So, United Democracy Project spending. In May 22, it was also revealed that AIPAC has been spending millions channeled through surrogate group, the United Democracy Program. So right there, I mean, it's telling you that as much as we know that they spend, they funnel money through other organizations that they have, that their members are the heads of, and you know, and you would never know by the name of it. The United Democracy Project. Oh, look, Todd Edwards flying that pedo flag. He's obviously run out of shit to say, so he's going to use that as the excuse. I'm going to block him because he flies the pedo flag. Yeah, I'm just blah, blah, blahing here while I'm reading the official, completely locked Wikipedia page about AIPAC. Listen to me blah, blah, blah and make shit up. Which thing have you told me already, Matt? Which makes no mention of its creation by AIPAC to defeat progressive Democrats and particularly female candidates who might potentially align with the squad of progressive Congress members made up of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, and Rashida Tlaib. The UDP spent $2.3 million in opposition to Summer Lee in the Pennsylvania Democratic congressional primary race in Pennsylvania. Lee has supported setting conditions for U.S. aid to Israel and accused the country of atrocities in Gaza. Oh man, that's so fake. How could she possibly accuse them of that? They've never done anything like that before. Comparing Israeli actions to the treatment of young black men in the United States. The UDP also spent $2 million in a North Carolina Senate primary to support the incumbent Valeria Fushi against Nida Alam, the first Muslim woman to hold elected office in North Carolina, and the political director for the 2016 campaign of Bernie Sanders. Both candidates are endorsed by the squad. UDP spent an estimated $280,000 to support incumbent Ohio's 11th congressional district incumbent Shontel Brown over her primary challenger, progressive Nina Turner. I mean, this type of money is just insane. I've heard better ideas from a schizophrenic. No, you're supposed to call me the schizophrenic. Or did you guys learn? Did you guys finally realize that calling me schizophrenic doesn't really fit and you're just really stupid? Desperate and stupid. Because I don't know any schizophrenics talking about this kind of shit. I don't think people really know what schizophrenia is. I think, again, you're just programmed, desperate, stupid bots saying the same shit over and over again. Team Jorge, in effect, y'all. The UDP spent a further $1.2 million to help the Democratic congressman for Texas, Henry Sular, face off a challenge from Jessica Cisneros, a 28-year-old immigration lawyer also endorsed by the squad. After Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch released a report accusing Israel of imposing apartheid, oh, that's anti-Semitic. They're just anti-Semitic. That's all that is. Anti-Semitic. The Palestinians are the only Semitic people in that conflict. A new study came out, said 95% of Israelis don't have any Semitic blood. They're European, they're American, they're, Russian, Milikowskis and all that kind of shit. They all changed their names. All of the prime ministers of Israel had a different name, a family name, whatever, that was changed to what they have now to sound more, or what they had when they were in office, to sound more Semitic. But they all had Polish names and just goofy names, Like Benjamin Netanyahu is not his fucking name. Excuse me. Bibi. They call him Bibi. Bibi. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna have to wait a second. Sorry about this. Gabby got up. Saw how early it was and went back to bed. After they accused Israel of imposing apartheid, Siluar, I don't know how to say it, said, these inaccuracies incite anti-Semitic behavior. It's like just these robots, again. These inaccuracies incite anti-Semitic behavior. What inaccuracies were being cited? How does anyone with eyes and ears see what's going on at the hands of the Israelis in all of this and be like, yeah, they are such the mislabeled, misunderstood good guys in all of this. They're just the victims. They don't do anything wrong. Yeah, of course, the people that caused the need for there to be aid in the first place by bombing the shit out of these people should then be in charge of giving those people the aid. I mean, they were trying to kill them, yes, but now they're going to try to feed them. That makes so much sense. Oh, and never mind the fact that there's, these aid centers where they force the people into these tight groups and then attack them, killing, tens, hundreds of them at a time. Never mind that. Never mind that. Don't pay attention to that. Again, look at these comments. Right? Literally nothing is about what I'm saying. Here we have Smart Steve saying, you're, Y-O-U-R, doing nothing but painting a target on your head. Yeah. You're, now here we come with the vague threats. Ooh, can't even get his spelling right. Y-O-U-R, again. And described what he called dangerous effects of falsified name calling. Falsified name calling, huh? That's the best that they can do. AIPAC veteran Darius Jones founded the National Black Empowerment Fund, MBEAF, which contributed money to defeat pro-Palestinian black candidates like Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush. The black organizations are so afraid that they're turning against their own people. They're funding the candidacies against their own people for trying to support other brown people who have been victimized by the same people that supposedly owned the slave ships, that controlled the government and made the laws what they were and still do to this day. Like, seems really strange that the black organizations would be supporting the white candidate or whoever. I mean, I don't even know if they were a white candidate. I don't know. Maybe it was a J. The Jays don't consider themselves white. So, kind of itching the spot I can't reach. Let's quickly do a quick jump here. I want you guys to see something.
Do not buy new windows.
Morgan Freeman says, I hate Black History Month.
Zip codes, starting with 48 and
Morgan
49.
Freeman said what?
I'm Jewish. Okay. Which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh.
I want to show you one more of Morgan Freeman. This is from a couple years ago.
Let's see. All right, here we go.
Black History Month you find ridiculous.
Listen to the condemnation he has in his voice. Black History Month you find ridiculous? Why? We gave you your own month. Why would you not be okay with that? That you should be grateful that we gave you your own month. Yeah, it's the coldest, shittiest month and it's the shortest month, but we gave you your own month. What is wrong with you?
You're going to relegate my history to a month?
Ooh.
Oh, come on. What do you do with yours?
Oh, come on, he says. Oh, come on.
Which month is White History Month? Well, come on. Tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay, so there you go, right there. Did you see that? Morgan Freeman wasn't trying to be like obvious about it. He just said, which month is White History Month? And he was like, for a good 10 seconds, I'm Jewish. He has to. He can't even go along with the program for the show's sake. He cannot associate with white. He's like, that's so. I'm not white. Don't call me a white person. That's pretty fucking telling if you allow it to be, right? Oh, I need that. Yeah. The red one's right inside the door, plugged into the wall.
Okay. Which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh. Why not? Yeah. Do you want one?
No.
No.
I don't either.
No. Did you see how he said that? He was like, no. Oh no, I don't want that. No. Why not? But yet it's ridiculous for Morgan Freeman to suggest that Black History Month is as ridiculous as he's pretending J History Month would be. Do you rent 24/7? Yup. Go look. You can see my videos for the last forever where I'm going 24/7. It's not 3 agonizing hours. No. It's 24/7. This is what, like, you can even see it in that interview. When people know they're wrong, but they're too pig-headed to acknowledge it, they start arguing things that you don't say, right? Instead of answering, well, what about White History Month? He's not going to just go with it and say, he has to argue something. Well, I'm something else. Okay, well, do you want something else? No, 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 no. And when he says why, he's like, oh, well, you know, what about you? Watch. I guess we should finish it.
I don't want a Black History Month.
Oh, he doesn't even let him say.
Black
He doesn't
history is
even...
American history. Why not? Do you want one? No. I don't either.
Right, but doesn't ask him, why don't you want one? And he doesn't offer it. He doesn't say, oh, no, no, no. My history is American history. I'm proud, like Morgan says.
Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism?
Stop talking about it.
That's dumb.
I'm going to stop calling you a white man. Yeah. And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man.
That's brilliant.
I know you as Mike Wallace. You know me as Morgan Freeman. You understand?
But the thing is, again, our differences should be celebrated. It's not like we should ignore them. They should be celebrated. You know, beautiful black skin, beautiful white skin. That should be celebrated. Not because we've been programmed to be such, you know, PC careful sheep that I don't want to say anything that offends anybody. If you worry about offending people and edit how you speak, how you exist, based on whether or not it might offend somebody, you're not going to be able to do very much. And there's all kinds of people that will just claim to be offended to shut you down because they can't argue against what you're saying. But I just keep showing you. I keep showing you proof, proof of all these different arguments. I don't know how else to prove things to you other than providing you with proof and not just telling you, oh, have faith. Have faith that the magical savior is going to come out of nowhere and save all our problems, fix all our problems for us. We're all going to be saved when the superhero, the prayer jar finally fills up and the superhero comes back and 26 of you get raptured while the rest of us all die in Armageddon. Yeah, that all makes sense, doesn't it? But here's some more proof to keep going with the AIPAC thing. Because this is AIPAC is a really important subject here, but I want you guys to just see this bit because I'm reading you the AIPAC Wikipedia page, which is totally locked, so nobody is allowed to edit it. But here, just check this part out.
If you Google Nusayrat refugee camp massacre, a variety of
Moetzet in conjunction with My Israel has arranged instruction day for wiki editors.
Wait. Believing in God makes more sense than believing in a flat earth. Obviously, you don't know what the Bible says, you dumb shit. I love when dumbass Christians come and say stupid things and have no basis. Like, you don't know what the first thing your God does? The very first thing your God does after it turns on the light? Because it doesn't make the sun or the moon until the fourth day, which, again, how do you have days and nights without a sun and a moon? But those are made on the fourth day. There's some sort of light system that God turns on, like a light in his basement. And the very first thing God does is what? Anyway.
Is in conjunction with My Israel has arranged instruction day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to edit in Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world. As a way of example, if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
I came here to learn.
Okay, so I'm constantly going to provide you guys with proof. So when I'm reading you what the Wikipedia says, understand it's what they want us to know. There's a hell of a lot of effort going into keeping us knowing this exact narrative. And the question, you fail to understand physics. I mean, they're gonna say anything they can. And as always, it doesn't matter what proof you show them. They're gonna keep going with their bullshit. They want to believe what they believe. Everybody believes what they want to believe. You have very little evidence right in front of you that you get to see for yourself to prove whatever narrative you believe, especially you Christians. You Christians are the dumbest, by far. You just believe the dumbest shit for no fucking reason. It's been presented to you, so you believe it. There's no proof. There's nothing in your life proves it. Like, it's just insane. And there's always the people that say, oh, dude, I've experienced so many miracles in my life. You know, give me one. Oh, there's too many to count. It's just the same stupid shit over and over again. But it's all by design. It's all given to us. And we all know that. We all know it. Like, if you're sitting around joking with your friends and you're like, yeah, who controls the money? Everybody's going to say the same thing. But then when you go, okay, so all jokes aside, like, you know, they control the money and things could be a lot better if we, you know, us goyim unify and overthrow the chosen that run our show. Error, don't say that, that is anti-Semitism. Like, it's weird. Hey, who controls Hollywood? Oh yeah, they definitely control Hollywood. Okay, so you know that they use Hollywood to manipulate us and blah, blah, blah. Don't say that, that is anti-Semitic. Hey, where's the doofus that said he was gonna make the Guy Williams Sucks video and then share it so I could show it on here? I've been asking these troll accounts for over a year to prove that they're real people. If you're not a fucking Team Jorge bot, simply make a video talking about how bad I suck, how stupid I am, whatever it may be, and then send it to me. I'll play it on my feed so everybody can see it. And for some reason, none of them do it. Not a single one of these people wants to have any sort of credibility by proving themselves to be real people. Or real people who aren't, that group we're not allowed to talk about. Let's see, let's go back to the spending. So if you've been keeping track, we're up to like $10 million or some shit. The UDP also spent $2 million. Oh, we did this. 1.2 million. Falsified name calling. The National Power, where the National Black Empowerment Fund contributed money to defeat pro-Palestinian black candidates like Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush. NBEAF is led by Richard St. Paul, a member of AIPAC's National Council. That's weird. Some black organizations argue NBEAF advocates for Israel, not black people. They must be crazy conspiracy theorists. J Street spokesperson Logan Bayroff has called AIPAC a Republican front organization. The fact that he said they are obfuscating while trying to persuade Democratic voters who they should support, he added. The United Democracy Project sounds innocuous, but the reason that they're aligning with certain candidates is because they are more aligned with their more hawkish positions on Israel. In March 2024, with reports of AIPAC and UDP planning to spend $100 million to primary incumbent progressive House Democrats, opponents formed the Reject AIPAC coalition to protect democracy and Palestinian rights. Never heard of the Reject AIPAC coalition. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why the news hasn't told me about that before. Democratic Socialists of America. Oh, wait. To protect it. Founding members include Democratic Socialists of America, Gen Z for Change, If Not Now, Justice Democrats, National Iranian American Council, Our Revolution, Progressive Democrats of America, Roots Action, Sunrise Movement, Working Family Parties. It's a lot of support. Oh, here we go with the anti-Semitism argument. Okay, so alleged complicity with anti-Semitism. Critics have alleged that AIPAC is anti-Semitic, complicit in anti-Semitism, or silent concerning anti-Semitism coming from Donald Trump and other right-wing politicians. How old do you think the edits on this page are? Considering nobody's allowed to edit it anymore, when do you think these edits were made? Because, according to Netanyahu, Donald Trump is the greatest friend Israel and the Israeli people have ever known. Let's see if I can find that video. Hang on. Why did it spell it like that?
It's an honor to be here with the first Jewish president of the United States. And if he isn't, he should be. It's an honor to be here with the first...
Funny how that's just a funny joke, isn't it? I mean, I don't understand what people are missing, right? I just can't understand it. So, exactly, bots, you all write each other. Oh yeah, they just stroke the shit out of each other because otherwise they look stupid. Most people are going to read the comments and be like, wow, these guys are stupid. But then when you see that there's other bots saying, hey man, that was a great comment, you're going to be like, wait, was it a good comment? This is how they manipulate us. It's subconscious. It's time-tested, proven tactic. So, so you have to wonder when this shit is supposedly, like most of this stuff talks about pre-2016 or 2016 and beforehand. They don't really talk about after 2016. Like when it said, both candidates for president spoke at the 2016 AIPAC policy conference. Well, what about the 2020 and the 24 policy conference? Weren't they there? I'm pretty sure Kamala spoke at the policy conference pledging her allegiance, and Trump did. So why is this information seemingly almost 10 years old as being, the forefront of information about this? Somehow trying to paint Donald Trump as opposition is just, it's a fucking dumb joke. Ava Bogwart, writing for The Nation, criticized AIPAC for alleged complicity with anti-Semitism, stating that the organization has welcomed Trump and his top donors with open arms while refusing to condemn his blatantly anti-Semitic remarks. Like what? I'd love to know what things he said that fall into that category.
How have they not found this guy yet? What kind of cops are these?
In August 2020, AIPAC tweeted that George Soros has a long history of backing anti-Israel groups. Now he's giving $1 million to help jstreet.org support anti-Israel candidates and attack pro-Palestinian Democrats. I mean, do you realize how goofy it is to think that George Soros donating $1 million, that little drop of water into the huge ocean, matters? $1 million to George Soros? Huh?
It's psychology. We hear $1 million, we're like, oh my God.
Right. Exactly. Regular Goyim still think $1 million is a lot of money. Yet in the previous paragraph, I named off multiple times when they're like, you know, they spent $2 million, $3 million. The one thing said they were planning on spending $100 million on house to support the house. What was it? Where the fuck was it? Why did I get jumped up here? Whatever. $100 million to support their candidates. And they're crying about Soros giving $1 million. That's how, it's actually really telling, right? It's letting you know how fragile their whole illusion is. That they honestly think $1 million worth of donations is worth mentioning, let alone going to affect anything. They know that it doesn't take very much to out them. They know that someone like me getting $1 million would just destroy their whole image. Unless, of course, they wanted to give me $20 million to stop talking, then I'd do it. No problem. Morning, Butsky boy. How you doing, dude?
Hey.
Yeah, well, our teenager still gets up and comes out and gives us a hug when he does. So kiss my ass. But just think about like how like the cowards that they are, right? They're so worried about any sort of opposition. I mean, look what they do to me. I'm just some dumbass in Michigan on a YouTube feed. Look at how much effort and energy they put into fucking with me. They're clearly worried about me. If they weren't worried about me, I'd be allowed to have the feed that I should at this point. There wouldn't be all these goof asses here, like, in opposition to me, but not actually saying anything to back it up. Just dumbass nonsense. And I get it. We're talking about boring ass politics and AIPAC. I want to talk about something exciting. Sorry, this is one of those boring adult feeds. I'm not making crazy hook shots with the basketball or you know.
Really wish you talked about hose and teeth and
guns and shooting and bitches.
I really wish you would.
I love the people that cry like they act like YouTube put you. It was YouTube's fault. Like they couldn't just skip over this feed. They had to watch this feed. They had to. YouTube said to, and I have to click on everything YouTube says to watch. And then I had to stay here and keep crying. AIPAC works to strengthen pro-Israel mainstream Democrats. J Street and Soros work to undermine them. In response to the tweet, the left-wing Jewish organization, If Not Now, denounced AIPAC for anti-Semitism, tweeting that AIPAC is the anti-Semitic far right. They are not a Jewish organization. They claim to be one, nor claim to be one. Just so weird. Who gives a shit? Aren't we Americans here? Why would any one group matter more than anyone else? Yeah, he hit them up.
Both of them?
No, I don't know. I can only see one.
You do this.
I mean, it's just fucking wild. Let's read this one. Spying allegations. In April 2005, AIPAC policy director Stephen Rosen and AIPAC senior Iran analyst Keith Weissman were fired by AIPAC amid an FBI investigation into whether they passed classified U.S. information received from Lawrence Franklin onto the government of Israel. They were fired by AIPAC? Does that mean they collect a paycheck? Like, getting fired, don't you have to... Do you ever get fired from something that doesn't pay you? I mean, don't you just get kicked out? Kicked out, but not fired. They were fired. They were later indicted for illegally conspiring to gather and disclose classified national security information to Israel. AIPAC agreed to pay the legal fees for Weissman's defense through appeal if necessary. Okay. Well, then why did they fire them? That's a little strange. Shit is killing me. Oh, God damn it. In 2005, May 2005, the Justice Department announced that Lawrence Anthony Franklin, a U.S. Air Force Reserves colonel working as a Department of Defense analyst at the Pentagon in the office of Douglas Feith, had been arrested and charged by the FBI for providing classified national defense information to Israel. The 6-count criminal complaint identified AIPAC by name and described a luncheon meeting in which allegedly Franklin disclosed top-secret information to 2 AIPAC officials. Franklin pleaded guilty to passing government secrets to Rosen and Weissman and revealed for the first time that he also gave classified information directly to an Israeli government official in Washington. On January 20th, 2006, he was sentenced to 150 months, almost 13 months, or 13 years in prison and fined $10,000. As part of a plea agreement, Franklin agreed to cooperate in the larger federal investigation. All charges against the former AIPAC employees were dropped in 2009. Why? Why? Do we get to know why they were dropped? After the formation of its first Political Action Committee, PAC, in early March 2022, AIPAC was criticized for backing the election campaigns of 37 Republican members of Congress who voted against certifying Biden's 2020 U.S. presidential election victory after the 2021 United States Capitol attack. Another false flag right there. That's a fun one. After the formation, you know why they arrested all those people? Is to make sure that they weren't involved in the actual shit, because all the people involved were actors. So they had to clear a lot of them out of there so they wouldn't get drug into it and not do as they were supposed to do. If you watch the footage from the January 6th attack, where, you know, for some reason no military was ever deployed, no cops, nothing. These guys kicked in the fucking door of the Capitol building, and as they ran through it, those buildings are like mazes, man. Like, unless you know exactly where you're going, you're gonna get lost. So what they did was they had a guy in a blue shirt standing at the entrance to every hallway they weren't supposed to go down. If you look, you can see it. You know, every time they come to a T or something like that, and they're supposed to either go right or left, if they're supposed to go left, there's a guy standing on the right side in a blue shirt, arms crossed, just standing there, guarding the way. God damn it, I can't do that. It hurts. The endorsement of the politicians was described as morally bankrupt and short-sighted by Richard Haas, president of the Council of Foreign Relations. Ooh, that's the big one, right? The CFR. Ooh, that's the conspiracy theory one. While Abe Foxman, former head of the Anti-Defamation League, God, I wish they'd take interest in me, called it a sad mistake. And Dan Kurtzer, a former U.S. ambassador to Israel, urged AIPAC to reconsider the move. Haley Sofier of the J Democratic Council of America said the move suggested one must compromise support of America's democracy to support Israel, which she noted in an opinion piece published in Haaretz, presents a patently false dichotomy rejected by the overwhelming majority of American bad guys. Right? They love to say that they're still America first. They're still America first. They're not about bad guy land. They're not all Israel first. The state of Israel.
Stop it.
He can't hear you. AIPAC defended the endorsements by stating that it was no moment for the pro-Israel movement to become selective about its friends. What? Like they just say it right out in the open, like we're too stupid to get it. Oh yeah, this little bullshit in America doesn't matter. What matters is the stance on Israel. So let's just not worry about what happened here. This doesn't matter. In a later rare rebuke of the lobby group from within the Israeli government, Elan Tal-Hanan, a member of the Knesset, criticized AIPAC endorsements as outrageous, noting that criticism was important for maintaining what Tal referred to as a healthy relationship between Israel and the American bad guys, according to the Times of Israel. So he's saying, like, look, we have a show to put on here, right? We have to pretend like we don't endorse these things or we don't support these things so that the sheep think we're doing the right thing, right? If we just blatantly support this too much, it's going to be too obvious. So you have to pull it back. You have to play within the boundaries that we set. It's like when the cops say to you, we don't want to hurt you. They're threatening you. They're not like professing anything to you. They're saying, if you don't do what we say, we're going to hurt you. And we don't want to hurt you, so comply. Like, this is it's just crazy. Financing pro-Israel Democrats in 2022. That first one was support for the 2020 election deniers. Now we're on the pro-Democrats in 2022. I thought they were all about the Republicans, though. Having endorsed over 100 Republican members of Congress who had voted against certifying Joe Biden's election, AIPAC spent $24 million via its political action committee, the United Democracy Project, the United Democracy Project, again, remember, would any of you just assume United Democracy Project was, go this way, was Israeli? You wouldn't think that at all, would you? Go this way. Oh, there you go. They're spending $24 million on this one thing, but Soros donated $1 million. To defeat candidates not considered pro-Israel enough in the primaries of the Democratic Party that select candidates for the 2022 midterm elections. I mean, are you guys not hearing this, right? Imagine if I was reading you about all of these pro-Russia things that admit to spending $24 million on candidates that were pro-Russia, more pro-Russia than anything else. More pro-Russia than their opponents. Even if their opponent was also pro-Russia, there's another one over there. You sure? Because they shouldn't be out right now. Imagine if it was China. Imagine if it was literally anyone else. Canada. Canada is spending all this money on pro-Canadian supporters and all this other shit, right? And making it clear that the pro-Canada support is way more important than anything else. Wouldn't all you Trump pansies and America First people be losing your shit over that? Like, it's just so blatantly obvious. And I don't understand. You know what? Again, the majority of these dumb commenters are fucking bots anyway. I think your average American, your average person, doesn't matter what government you belong to. If you're part of the South Korean government and you find out that, you know, North Korea is sponsoring most of your candidates, most of your government, you'd have a problem with it. If you lived in Chad and you found out that Egypt was responsible, like, it's all the same thing. Do you guys remember in Lebanon and Tehran when that huge fertilizer bomb blew up and made that like huge mushroom cloud, and it all goes back to Israel. It's so crazy how obvious it all is. And really, it was a bombing more than anything, because there was multiple cameras that showed that were filming on that day. And if you pay attention, you'll see that just before the big explosion, a bunch of white flashes are seen. Don't worry. After the explosion, they interview at least 2 people who confirmed that a fireworks started going off. Fireworks. But there were these little white flashes, and then the thing blew up. Well, after the fact, the entire Lebanese government stepped down because they said that the organization above them, the secret organization above them, made everything so difficult they couldn't get anything done. And again, the first people to reach out to Lebanon after the bombing was Israel. It's just so fucking like, oh, what happened? Did something happen? Oh, how can we help you now? Like, it's just so fucking ridiculous. But we're not talking about Lebanon, right? We're talking about the United States and how obvious it is that a foreign country basically controls our government. Literally through just money. They just pay people off. You know, they just pay these candidates. They just pay off these representatives who already have like amazing jobs where they get a whole bunch of money. Like, do any of you think you couldn't do a senator's job or a House of Representative or just any of these fucking candidates that they bring up? Do you really think you couldn't sit around all day, play golf? You think you couldn't do the president's job? You think the president works really hard? How many of you think the president sits at his Oval Office with a fucking adding machine and one of those green visors, you know, the see-through green visors? And he puts in the daily budget numbers and you think he does that, and then he, okay, the budget is balanced today. Kathy, can you bring me the foreign policy information? I want to go over that real quick. Yes, Mr. President, be right in. You really think Donald Trump sits around doing math all day? You think he sits around, what, writing speeches? Well, we know he doesn't. We know he has speechwriters, so he's not doing that. He's literally always traveling. He plays a lot of golf. He eats a lot of really great meals.
He spends a lot of time getting
Right. He spends a lot of time, like, you know, being paid for.
Gluing that earpiece down. Spraying his face in our...
He looks so weird when he wears his hats. He looks so weird.
He's so gross.
He's just nasty. Anyway, AIPAC spent $24 million, the United Democracy, to defeat candidates not considered pro-Israel enough. Substantial contributions to this funding were obtained from Republican Trump campaign financiers such as Paul Singer and Bernie Marcus. You know, that whole time-tested narrative of support both sides, so whatever side wins, you have, you know, you have dirt, you have control over them. This is literally the Rothschild, like, blueprint. And it's just being used right in our faces. Spending millions and millions of dollars to fund whatever candidates they want, both sides at times. I mean, you know, pay the one side pay the winning side $2 million and pay the losing side $1 million and say, all right, well, you get to go back to whatever previous gig you were doing. But here's your $1 million for playing along. And then, you know, the other side gets whatever it is. You know, paying the people to lose, that's also an option that doesn't get talked about. You know, every time a dog makes noise, it's because you're hitting them, right?
Quit beating my dog.
Right. But this is just, I'm reading you what they want us to know. This isn't some conspiracy theory. This is the shit. This is what you support. All you Trumpanzees out there. Singer and Marcus together with Haim Sabin. It spent $4 million to support Haley Stevens, who defeated the Jewish congressman Andy Levin, who is known to be critical of AIPAC's support of hardline Israeli policies. Andy Levin. Well, his dad was allowed to be in office for he's one of the longest serving representatives in history, the Michigan representative. It spent $7 million to defeat the favorite in a Maryland July primary, Donna Edwards, who had failed to back resolutions in support of Israel during its war in Gaza 2012. Gosh, Israel sure does seem to have a lot of wars in Gaza. But at least back then, they had some sort of means of defending themselves. They've been brutalized so bad since then that they just have nothing now. Nothing. They rocks and sticks, man. And really, that's all they've ever had, but rocks and sticks. It's just awful. It's just awful. And how can anybody say I'm the bad guy? Right? Take beliefs out of the equation, and all you have is what's actually happening. How do we say, like, because this group of people believes themselves to be superior and demands that we think that way too, we're just going to ignore what they do? Like, I have no stake in Palestine. Matter of fact, I'm not pro-Palestine. You know, you don't hear me saying free Palestine because I don't even know what the hell that is. Are we talking about pre-2023 Palestine? Are we talking about pre-2000, like all those years, 2021, 20, all that, 1980? It was bad each year, but pre-2006 Palestine, pre-1998 or 93, can't remember what it is, Palestine, 1967 Palestine, pre-1948 Palestine, pre-1918 Palestine. Like, what are we talking about? When has Palestine ever been free? Prior to the takeover in 48, the Nakba, it was British mandate Palestine for 30 plus years. Both world wars were about establishing Israel. That was the main goal. There was a lot of other things that were done in the process, a lot of destruction. Yeah. But setting it up so the British were in control of Palestine for the next 30 years, making the Palestinian people completely reliant on the British. Oh, no, you guys don't need to worry about joining the military. You guys, we got you. We're protecting you. This is British mandate Palestine. We got you. So that when the Brits turned around, because they didn't pull out, you can't say that the Israelis took over Palestine because Israel didn't exist. What?
That's how babies are made.
I missed what was saying. Pulling out. Great. Gotcha. Israel is a consequence of World War II, not the purpose of the war. You're stupid. It's the purpose of it. They set up British mandate Palestine to make the Palestinians completely, basically incapable of defending themselves. So that when they made their false narrative with World War II, now they somehow have an excuse. Somehow, because of what supposedly happened in Germany, the Palestinians now get to give up 56% of their land. That was the original offer, right? The original offer was that the Palestinians give up 56% of their land just because they want it now. And predictably, the Palestinians were like, are you fucking kidding me? Why would we give you 50% of our 56%, the majority percent of our land? Why would we give that to you? And they were like, okay, well, we gave you an offer. We were trying to be reasonable. You guys just didn't want to work with us. You rejected the offer. Now we're going to take 86% of your land. And that's what they did. And now they're just finishing it up. Now they have the Ben Gurion Canal coming through. And it's going to save them a lot of engineering and whatnot to just run it through the Gaza Strip. I know more than most Americans about most things when it comes to this. And I definitely know that your whole cult is bullshit. I've looked into it extensively. And there's not, like, how many people know that Hebrew is the youngest language on the planet? It was revived. It was invented in the late 1800s, early 1900s by a guy named Eliezer Ben Yehuda. Well, a guy whose name became Eliezer Ben Yehuda because initially it wasn't such a Semitic name. It was a European name of some sort. And that his son is considered to be the first modern day speaker of Hebrew. And they acknowledge that due to the deficiencies of what they were working with, that they had to use Arabic, Aramaic languages, specifically Arabic, to account for the deficiencies and basically base the entire thing off of Arabic. If you actually hold up a mirror to Hebrew, it looks like Arabic. It's really, really obvious what they did. But see, this is what you guys have, right? You don't know why any of that matters because they're desperate. They're desperately trying to make me to take away my credibility because everything I'm saying is true and a threat to them. And the last thing they want is average goyim hearing what I'm saying because it's undeniable. It's easy to see for yourself. So they want these people that might be new here to go, oh, he's a meth head. Oh, wow, okay. But let's just say I was smoking meth mixed with crack. They were mothballs. I called them mothballs because they were crack and meth mixed together. While I was drinking alcohol and 40 ounces all day, while I was shooting dope in my arms, and every time my wife spoke, I smacked, shut up, bitch, smacked her, and if my kids came out, I punched them in the dumb kid, shut up.
Is that why the Jews stole me away?
Yes. And then my dog, I'm be like, shut up, dog, and I kick the dog and shit. Imagine if I did all those horrible things. Would that take anything away from AIPAC? Would that take anything away from the genocide that's happening right now? Would that take anything away from Matitza Bipa? How does anything I do discount what's going on? Yeah. You act like the blah, blah, blah stupid narrative that they give isn't true. Do you realize, according to them, this is how dumb these inbred fucking idiots are. That they somehow, magically, were able to wander around the desert for 40 fucking years. Where did they get their food? Where did they get their water? Where did they get all that? Well, that part doesn't matter. How many Jews wandered in the desert? According to the book of Exodus, there were 600,000 men of fighting age, plus women and children, totaling potentially over 2 million of them. So 2 million of them wandered the desert for 40 years. What did they eat? How do you feed and you know, drink, hydrate 2 million people in the desert for 40 years? That is such an insane, dumb-ass thing that they never accounted, you know, they never counted on anyone, like, asking those questions. 2 million people. How does anybody with any sort of, like, reasonable brain hear that and not just kind of chuckle? Like, are you kidding me? 2 million people? They weren't even smart enough to say it was like 10,000? Which would still be ridiculous. When I first said it, I was thinking around 10,000. I thought 10,000, but man, that might be high. That's why I looked it up. I was going to say 10,000, but I thought that might be too high. So I just want to make sure exactly how many it was. 2 million. 2 million people wandering around the desert. Hey, where are we going? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? My feet hurt. Oh, my back. Oh, can you imagine a mob of 2 million people? Oh, what an insane story. Oh, here we go again, schizophrenic. I'm schizophrenic. I'm talking to the voices in my head, my split personalities. Oh, you see that guy in the bushes over there? He's looking at me. Yep, that's what's happening. The Old Testament were basically verbal stories that were written down over time. Well, actually, the oldest texts that we had were from the 900s AD, if you believe in that bullshit. Up until they conveniently found the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1946. They found like 2 of them, they said. And then, for the next 2 years, they lost the cave that they found it in. They had no idea where they found it. It was only 150 meters from the nearest village. It was a cave, like, on the outside of a big ring, so it wasn't like it was in this huge network of mountains you had to get through. It was a pretty obvious cave, and they lost it. They misplaced it. Do you realize how silly that is, guys? Oh, look, they've completely taken the feed down. Now we're down to 9. 9 people. Right? Because they can't have people hearing this. They have to shut me down. It's not like they can have people come in and people are going to come in and argue properly and put me in my place and tell me what I'm getting wrong. I'd love to hear anybody explain to me how 2 million people wandered the desert for 40 years. Please, please do your best to give me something. I know you want to talk about me. I'm talking about the big picture here. I don't know why you're so obsessed with me, other than that's the job you're doing, right? But make that make sense. All of you Bible thumpers. Notice how none of them addressed the fact that I said that Hebrew is the youngest language on the planet? Invented in the 1900s? Late 18s, early 19s? Revived. It was revived. For some reason, they stopped speaking it. We have another person spelling liar, L-I-E-R. So anything they have to say is coming from such a dumb perspective they can't even spell 4-letter words correctly. Commonplace 4-letter words. That's how stupid they've made the Goyim. It's fucking embarrassing, man. It's just embarrassing. I don't know. No, see, you're dumb. You're just saying dumb things again. I don't think anything was invented in the 900s. I don't believe in the 900s like you do. But I know things. You don't, like, the thing about this, you're in an argument where you don't actually know things. You've never looked any of this shit up. You don't know the narrative you're supposed to know. Do any of you know why it's 2025 AD? You know what that is? Most of you dumbasses are going to say, it's after death. It's after death. No. It's Anno Domini. Anno Domini. And it means in the year of our Lord. Because there is no 0. It goes from 1 AD to -1 BC. There is no year 0. So if you believe it's after death and then you believe it's before Christ, then you're saying, and either way you're saying that Jesus lived for a year. It's a really stupid thing. But the reason why we think it's 2025 AD is because in 525 AD, why aren't we celebrating this? This is a milestone. Here we are, 1500 fucking, what? 1500 years later? 1500 years ago, in 525 AD, or no, 2000, no, 1500 years ago, yeah. In 2025 AD is when Dionysus just decided, give me this, god damn it, you are slow as shit. Just decided, based on his calculations, based on my calculations, that whatever system we were using at the time wasn't accurate, and that our history needed to be Christ-centered. And using the internet, I guess, I don't really know, like, to think about how somebody would go about doing this in 525 AD, what you think 525 AD looked like. I mean, never mind that we're, they had big aqueducts and giant buildings and all that. We believe them to be next to nothing, right? Like, it's either you accept this idea that you're not being told the truth and that a much more advanced version of us lived, or I mean, I don't know how you reconcile it. How did these peasant nothing people with no power tools, no anything, no electricity, no means of travel, just build everything like that? How? What means did they have to build these incredible structures that still exist to this day in some cases? Like, it's just foolish to think that there's nothing going on there, right? But anyway, in 525 or whatever year it was, this guy Dionysus decided that it was going to be 525 AD, that they were 525 years after the year of our Lord Anno Domini. And so he then takes, and it's not the Dionysus that Jim Morrison's talking about. It's not the pretty one. It's this just a random guy in Italy at the time. He takes his findings to the authority of the day, who go, you know what? You're right. It is 525 AD. All right, let's in most of the world, let's all accept that this is the new date, and we'll just go ahead and we'll backdate all the history so that in 2025, when people are looking it up, they'll accurately know that it was 232 BC when the Maccabean revolt took place to regain the right to cutty slicey sucky. Right? We have to know all that accurate stuff from BC time, so make sure you backdate all of the history and everything to account for the fact that it is now 525 AD. And that's just how it worked. And the crazier part is that the concept of zero wasn't invented until like the 600s, I can't remember, 680 maybe or something like that. In India, some Indian guy first thought of the concept of zero somehow. But the concept of zero didn't reach the Western world till between the 1100s and 1300s. So I always ask, like, how are they doing math without the concept of zero? But apparently they were. And so I don't know how he figured out 525 AD without the concept of zero. But he did somehow. Somehow. And of course, like, there's going to be dumb people who are commenting here like they know anything about this. I'm stupid, but you don't know anything about this shit. And if you believe all that shit, that's on you, man. To me, it's more than obvious that there was some sort of reset between the 1750s and the 1800s or something like that. The whole America 1776, blah, 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 all that shit. Something happened. We were capable of building some really incredible shit. And then they did the World's Fairs as like a send-off. I just figured that out. That's what the World's Fairs were. They were a celebration of everything so people could see it one last time before they destroyed it in the World Wars. World War I was a huge demolition campaign. And so they wanted to show a bunch of shit off one last time and have everybody come take a look at these. Oh, no, those are just Mache buildings. They're just, well, except for the ones that still exist today. Some of the buildings they built, these opulent, fucking insane palaces that they built that still exist to this day that would take longer than a year or two to build in the first place. But some of those buildings that were built, were permanent, but most of them were just, you know, plaster and wood and shit like that. That's what they say. All the great fountains and all the shit that they were doing, like, it's just crazy. And the more you look into history, the more you realize, like, they're just lying to you. Look into the history of the Brooklyn Bridge and the guy that supposedly built it. And the fact that it wasn't like this guy was this architect, bridge builder his whole life. Nah, he was this immigrant farmer who founded a commune. And after 5 years of being a farmer, didn't like it anymore. So he decided he was going to build suspension bridges. The first suspension bridges. And one of his first examples is a bridge in Pennsylvania that he built in like 8 months. There was a previous bridge there, but it fell apart. So over the winter, from August to like April or something like that, he not only removed all of the previous building material, all the previous bridge materials, he also built the other suspension bridge with this new technology that he invented, you know, making the suspension wires out of steel and shit. He invented that. And he did all of that. He did it. Doesn't talk about the crew and shit. They talk about him doing it in about 8 months over the winter in Pennsylvania. Like you're either someone who believes that shit, and you know, I don't know how, like, why you would think that's possible. But either you believe it or you think, wow, that is kind of weird. You know, it's fucking weird. And then he builds another bridge basically at the same time. No, at the same time, right? Wasn't it at the same time? He was building it. He commissioned the other bridge and was building it halfway through. Like, they were being built at the same time. And then because of this, the system was like, hey, this guy should build the Brooklyn Bridge, the big old suspension Brooklyn Bridge. Fuck yeah. And let's not take any photos of the construction process. We'll take a couple of really staged, weird-looking photos, but we won't have a documented process, you know, start to finish. The first photos will show the pillars already there. You know, if you believe this stuff, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you know, I had no reason not to believe it other than the system lies to you about everything, so you probably shouldn't believe any of it unless you see it for yourself. But it's, you know, it's shocking. You don't think you're going to be as right as I've been. When it came to submarines, I didn't think I was going to be able to just debunk it like I did. My wife was like, you're crazy. Why are you, like, basically setting myself up to look like an idiot? And by the end of it, she was like, you know, all right, something weird's going on. Do they have boats that can go underwater? Yes. Most of the boat can go underwater. Do they have big, giant, 80-foot, or not 80-foot, the size of 80 school buses, tubes that can go down into the fucking 300 meters deep and stay underwater for 6 months? And no, that's stupid. I don't think they can do much more than a 10, 15, 20, 40 feet maybe. I think it's all bullshit. But again, it just popped in my head one day. I wasn't like determined or anything. I was well ready to be like, oh, I guess I was wrong. Like, this is silly. I thought of the title before I actually looked into it. So I could have looked like a total jackass. Didn't work out that way. And that's based on years of doing the same thing. Most of you never even heard of the linotype machine. Linotype machine is probably like a top 3 invention ever. And most of you never even heard of it. It was invented in the 1880s. Go figure, huh, sweetheart? Invented in the 1880s, and it was used up until digital came into existence. And it's basically how it was the machine used, or a variation thereof, the machine used, to create all of the print materials that existed from the 1800s to the late 1900s, when digital took over. All the newspapers, all the magazines, all the everything used the linotype machine. That's how they were able to produce daily newspapers. And when you look into this thing that they say these rich businessmen approached a German clockmaker and challenged him with creating this machine. And then after a couple of prototypes, after a couple of tries, they tested the machine that he came up with, and it worked really well. So after a little bit more tinkering, the linotype machine was in every printing house across America. Like, what are you talking about? How did this guy come up with this basically a foundry, an individual foundry that is miraculous? I mean, it's crazy. This thing creates metal slugs. They called them slugs. It's a line-o-type machine. Each line is a line-o-type, a line of type. So every line that you read is a metal slug with the letters all in it. And they're created in the machine. And then they stack each slug on top to make a page. And then after they are done with each page, they feed the slug back into the machine, and it melts it down and gets ready to create the new one from the matrices. Like, this machine is just insane. How did anyone create this machine? And they just don't even bother. They don't bother giving you any sort of information on it. You can look up Wikipedia, you can look up anything you can find, and you're not going to find any information on this. Just like how you've never heard of it. One of the most important inventions of our time, and you've never even heard of it. It's just crazy. And these are the same people that give you all of your history. Look up the Thames Tunnel, the River Thames. The first tunnel to go under a body of water to the other side. When do you think that was done? In the 1840s through 60s? What fucking technology did we have for that shit back then? They talk about at one point there's a hole in the roof, and the cave is filling in that they're planning, that they've built, the tunnel that they've built so far, it's filled in with water. And so the designer invents a diving bell that he then uses to go to the bottom of the River Thames and plug the hole with sandbags. This is the narrative from the 1850s or 60s or some shit. How do you, what process do you have that you can, like, how, did the submarine have mechanical arms? And there was, or are they saying that the diving bell had a hatch that he opened and dropped the fucking bags in it? That, like, they don't bother to give you any of the logistics as to actually how this happened. But what, I mean, why would any of you believe that? Just because that's what's written? Because they wanted to make the narrative exciting, so they had to come up with turmoil and all this other shit? They had the main machine. Oh, looks like the comments were shut off. Are the comments shut off? That's only 13, so they're not. Well, depends. We'll see, I guess. It's just wild, man. It's all just wild. Submarines dive and come to the surface with their buoyancy achieved through ballast tanks. Well, ballast tanks. Like, yeah, there's that surface definition. I get it. But does it make sense to you? How about this? I weigh about 200 pounds, right? If I go into the water, I float. My 200-pound body floats. The only way I can sink to the bottom of the water is if I exhale the air that's in my lungs. And then I'll sink and I can sit on the bottom for a second, and then I got to come up because I run out of air. So, that much air can keep my 200-pound body from sinking to the bottom of the water. That'll keep me actually floating. Like, I have to actually put in a lot of effort to sink to to swim to the bottom of the water, of the pool, the beach, whatever. Worth of air keeps this 200-pound body floating. What percentage of my body weight, of my density, of my capacity, do you think worth of air is? Probably less than 1%. How does that little tiny bit of air prevent my 200-pound body from floating? But you think some ballast tanks that make up like 5 to 10% of the submarine's density, submarine size, that can push and pull the submarine up and down in the water. Do you realize how stupid that is? I challenge any of you to go to the beach with a 2-liter, an empty 2-liter. Make sure you have the cap for it. And try to see if you can sink that thing to the bottom of the water. Try to see how far down you can swim the 2-liter full of just regular air. You can fill it halfway with water and see if you can sink it to the bottom with ease. Matter of fact, an unopened 2-liter, which only has concentrated carbonated air in it, in a small little space, those don't sink to the bottom of the ocean, to the bottom of the water. They float. It's basically water. It's basically liquid. There's a thin little membrane in between, a plastic membrane. And the 2-liter will fucking float. But you don't like these kinds of things, right? I can make all the comments I want about submarines. I can debunk the shit out of it. I've already done it in 9 parts of the first 9 parts of this submarines aren't real thing. I spent days looking into it and debunking it. And none of you will go to those videos and watch, right? Most of the videos you watch online aren't live. So it's not like I only watch live videos. No, go watch the previous videos. You're willing to watch this? Go watch where I specifically talk about submarines and you debunk what I'm saying. You can't, you won't. And the comments have been shut off here anyway. I don't know for how long. But it wouldn't matter. They shut the comments off, so I can't read what you guys are saying. You guys might be able to see the comments. The last comment I can see is some dumbass correcting themselves with Miles. Well, you might not be a dumbass, I don't know. Too late, Miles. Jesse Mathis Music. Yeah, that's the last one I see. The submarines dive by using ballast tanks bullshit. That's the last comment I can see. You have to be really stupid to believe in this and to want to focus on that. There's a genocide happening right now. The people committing genocide control our government through AIPAC. It's as obvious as something gets. And I didn't do a good job sticking with AIPAC. It's just such a passionate subject, you know, such an important thing that there's so many pieces of it that all fit together that paint the picture, you know. And if I just feel like I have to talk about all of them to be able to paint the most accurate picture. Not picture, picture. If you say pitcher, you're stupid. Pitchers hold water and throw balls. www.the-bilderberg, BILDERBERG-group.com. It's free to download. It's music. It's free. You click download, it'll ask you how much you want to pay. You can click 0, and all we ask is that you share it with someone. Or you can donate. Many people have, and we appreciate it. But you don't have to. All we ask is that you share it with someone. I'm going to leave you a link to Hollywoodism, the most important video ever made. Ever. The most important piece of film ever made. It lays it out for you how, well, you could essentially say the American dream is the bad guyish dream. How they used Hollywood, controlled Hollywood. Not how they invented Hollywood, but that they did invent Hollywood. And then used it to create the America they wanted. To create AIPAC. To create, you know, this system that favors them, that gives them their Semitism. Policy and predisposition favorable to them. It lays it all out. And the thing is, it's not some conspiracy movie. They made it. They brag in that movie. It's a brag for them. It's not meant to be some sort of negative. It's this, haha, look what we did. It's the thing you would think they would say, right? If you accomplish such an amazing thing, such a small percentage, 3% of the U.S. population, 0.183% of the world's population. If you can accomplish such a monumental task, you should be bragging about it. It should be, huh? You should be proud of that, and you should be telling everybody, you know, look what we did. Look how we did this. We are amazing. We deserve Semitism. So go watch Hollywoodism. Go get your free download. Go check out the newest songs that we have. The newest one is Sleight of Hand Job. The other two are Donald Trump Hates America and COVID Sauce. The videos on Facebook will be linked in the description, as well as Hollywoodism, and as well as the website, www.the-bilderberg, BILDERBERG-group.com. Everyone have a fantastic day. And most importantly, you pedophiles, kill yourself.